Ken Weller here with New Tech Inventors, and today, the long-awaited moment, I'm going to complete the comparison between the Anet ET4 and the Creality Ender 3. I did some printing before comparing the two and shot some video on that, but I didn't feel that the comparison was fair because I used the same identical filament, which I'm doing again this time. These are the little packs of PLA that come with some of these printers. So I opened up a pack for each one. So we have identical filament, and also the first test I ran using slicer settings for the Anet ET4 printer in the slicer, and then set my settings, and then I took and put the exact same settings or G-code file in both machines, and it ran equally well on both machines, and printed these two parts which came out practically identical on both the Ender 3 and the Anet ET4. However, the ET4 completed the print job much faster than the Ender 3, and since I didn't have a stopwatch on it, I was questioning whether or not the estimated time for the print job in the slicer was only for the Anet, since I had selected the Anet printer, or if there was something else going on. So to be fair, this time I've set the printer in the slicer as the Ender 3 and set up the same parameters, saved them to the chips on both printers, the G-code file. So both of these printers have the Ender 3 G-code file, and we're going to be printing this same part again. So let's see what happens. Okay, to be as fair as I can, I've let each printer cool down, and the filament is loaded, so I'm going to power up both printers at the same time. Okay, both printers are preloaded with filament, ready to start printing. I'm going to pull up the print file. On each one. Okay, and now I'm going to execute. Okay, I've executed the print file, which is an identical G-code file for both printers. So both printers are now going through their preheat, and we'll be able to see which one preheats in the shortest period of time and is ready to print. I think in comparing the performance of the printers, comparing the startup time or preheat time once you execute a G-code file on the printer is important, and we'll see how they compare. And then after that, we'll let them print simultaneously until the print job is complete. Now, according to the Cura slicer software, it should take 1 hour and 1 minute to print this part on these printers. And as you can see, the Anet has preheated and is going through its auto leveling cycle now and getting ready to start printing, where the Creality has reached temperature and it's just a little bit slower, but it's cranking up. Okay, they both look like they're doing pretty good printing the skirt. And now the Anet's actually started printing the actual part. And it is 18 minutes after 8. So 18 minutes after 8 is when they started printing. I'll say 8:18 was the start time. And they should be finishing up around 9:20. Okay, it looks like we're about probably 1/3 of the way through with the printing, and looks like they're running pretty much neck and neck. I can't tell that one has gone any farther than the other, but we'll keep an eye on them and check back in when we get halfway. Okay, we're now at the halfway point as far as the clock goes, and it looks like they're both about half complete. So it looks like they're still running pretty close together. Okay, we're at the 2/3 mark now, according to the clock. And it's beginning to look to me like the Anet may be a few layers ahead of the Ender 3 at this point. It's hard to tell for sure, but it looks like the Anet may be a little bit ahead. But we'll keep an eye on it and check back here in about a few more minutes. Okay, we can tell now that the Anet's definitely ahead of the Creality Ender 3 in printing this part. And according to the clock, we have about 10 more minutes until the print job's supposed to be complete. Okay, and I'll let you see how they're doing here. You can see about where that one's at. And then we come over here and look at the Anet. And the Anet's actually a little bit farther along. Again, these are identical G-code files actually set up for the Ender 3. When I ran this comparison before, I used identical G-code files, but they were set up for the Anet. And the Anet printed the job almost 10 minutes, if I remember correctly, faster than the Ender 3. But we're going to find out real soon, because this one, I can tell, is real close to finishing. And I'm watching the clock now, and it's about 11 minutes after. So we're about 7 minutes from the Cura estimated time for printing. And it's done. Okay, it finished almost 7 minutes early, according to the clock. And we're still printing the part here on the Creality Ender 3. And we'll see if it finishes at the estimated time. We'll let that cool down so we can take that part off, and we'll look at it, and from here it looks like it did a pretty good job of printing. Over here it looks like it's doing a pretty good job of printing the same part over here on the Ender 3. So we'll just wait for that one to finish. The reason I did this comparison is because a lot of people have questioned the capabilities and why I use the Anet printers instead of the Ender 3. I like the Anets. They seem to do a good job, as well as the Ender 3. I get the same quality of print, as you can see from the previous time when I printed them. I printed one of these on the Ender 3 and one of them on the Anet, and could not tell really the difference. They were both excellent quality, except the Anet consistently seems to complete the print job in a shorter period of time. I can't answer that question as to why it does that, but it's a relatively fast printer, I guess. A couple of things I like about the Anet is that instead of having the exposed power supply, the power supply is built into the case, and instead of having this control board in this little section, it's also in this case, and the controls are also embedded in here. So everything is really neatly enclosed in this enclosure here. And as far as the carriage and everything, very similar to that on the Ender 3. Also, the preheat time, if you remember, we were about a full minute ahead on preheating the Anet compared to the Ender 3. And the Ender 3 looks like it's getting pretty close to the end of its print job, and it's 15 minutes after now. So according to Cura, this should finish printing in 3 minutes. But like I said, this printer apparently didn't get the memo from Cura, because it finished 7 minutes early, printing the same identical part with the same identical G-code file. So I'm going to watch the clock and let this Ender 3 finish printing the part, and then we'll compare the two. Okay, it's 16.5 minutes. Okay, 17 minutes. Okay, so this one seemed to have finished on time, according to Cura, where the Anet finished the job 7 minutes earlier. And here's the part. Looks like it printed the part fine. I'll see if I can. This is the one off the Ender 3, and looks like it printed it very well also. So can't really tell much difference between these two parts, except this one was printed on the Anet and printed 7 minutes faster than the one on the Ender 3. So, there you have it. Well, I didn't know how this test was going to turn out. I thought that perhaps the reason the Anet on my first print test finished ahead of the Ender 3 was because I had selected the Anet ET4 in the Cura Slicer program and then set up all of the parameters. And then I put that same identical ET4 G-code file in both printers, and the Anet printed faster. So I wanted to come back and be fair, so this time I used the Creality Ender 3 to set up in Cura and had the 1 hour and 1 minute time, and this one actually printed in about 1 hour, but this one printed in about 53 minutes, about 7 minutes faster than the other. Okay, I think we've seen from the first video of Creality Ender 3 versus Anet ET4 and this second video doing some additional testing and comparison that the Anet ET4 printer prints just as good, if not better quality than the Ender 3. And the Ender 3 prints very good quality. I run this printer. I started this test in January, and since then I've been running the Ender 3 in this video and the Anet ET4 in this video almost continuously on different production print jobs. And in doing that, I've learned a lot about both printers. I know a lot about the Anet because I run a lot of them, but I've learned a few things about the Ender 3. And I did run into a few little problems with the Ender 3, and I'll be sharing those in a later video and show you what I did to correct them. But in conclusion, during this test, we saw that the Anet printer preheats a little bit faster than the Ender 3, and we also saw that the ET4 completed the print job several minutes faster than the Ender 3. So I'm not taking anything away from the Creality Ender 3. I think it's a great printer, good quality, has been very successful, but at the same time, give a little bit of credit to Anet for the ET4, which performed very well here. And in addition to that, I have a number of them at my print farm, and they've produced a lot of good quality parts. That was the reason I wanted to do this video, because there had been some questions from viewers that questioned whether the Anet ET4 or the Anet printers in general were up to the standards of some of the other printers on the market in the comparable price range. And both the Ender 3 and the ET4 cost me less than $200, so they're not real expensive printers, but they do a very good job. So that's it for now, and I'm glad you... So I hope these two videos have helped clear the air a little bit and give you a little better understanding of how the ET4 compares to some of the other printers on the market. So until the next time, happy printing from New Tech Inventors.